Today we are going to compare expertise Guan Yu versus the latest and the greatest infantry commander Liu Che. But he's only at 5511. And that's the whole point of the testing. We are going to see if only 190 sculpture investment Liu Che, meaning 5511, can outperform 690 sculpture investment commander expertise Guan Yu or not. First, let me explain why we are doing this testing. There are so many players in Rise of Kingdoms just like me who are only running one infantry march, and in such case that march is usually Guan Yu primary and Scipio secondary. But with the addition of Liu Che into the game, those players started to think, should I upgrade my one infantry march to Scipio Liu Che? And if so, at what point Liu Che is actually better than expertise Guan Yu? Would a 5511 Liu Che be better, or do we need to invest more sculptures before we can switch to Scipio Liu Che march? So basically we are looking for an answer to that question. But regardless of their investment levels, there are pros and cons to using both commander instead of the other. Major selling point of Guan Yu is his AoE damage and AoE silence, which honestly can be quite game changing, especially in big open field brawls, as you are delaying the raid skills of your enemies. He also pairs so well with Scipio because Scipio provides a shield to trigger Guan Yu's expertise, and Guan provides the silence for Scipio's expertise, which is an amazing synergy. But Guan is pretty squishy. His skills doesn't really provide any tankiness, which makes him go down pretty fast if he's focused down. He's also quote-unquote a rally commander, meaning he has one skill that is completely useless in field fighting. And lastly, his expertise is certainly not the best, as both benefits are conditional. The first one requires a shield and the other one only gets activated when you leave a building or a resource node. One last con of Guan Yu is that he always needs to be a primary, which limits his versatility. Liu Che, on the other hand, has insane AoE damage up to 5 targets. His second skill provides really good tankiness to his march. He deals smite damage, meaning his damage cannot be reduced by skill damage taken reduction skills or talents. And unlike Guan Yu, he doesn't have a limitation regarding being the primary or the secondary. The downside of Liu Che, specifically when paired with Scipio, is that Scipio's expertise is much more suited to Guan Yu, as he provides extra skill damage which doesn't affect smite damage, and the rage gain speed when the enemy is silenced, as I said before, just works so well with Guan Yu. But keep in mind that for this rage skill gain to work, you don't need to necessarily be using Guan Yu. As long as the target is silenced, you will benefit from this skill, so it's not completely useless. And all things considered, I think on paper, Liu Che is looking significantly better. Now we are going to take a quick look at the test results. A quick warning, I am aware that both of these commanders are not meant for 1v1s. They are basically meant for field fighting, as they provide massive AoE damage from their first skills. However, those actual battle conditions are quite impossible to simulate, so we will go for 1v1 testing. And I think it's going to be a fair comparison since both commanders are not meant for 1v1. So it is basically a minus for both of them. Also, with a 99.9% chance, we will lose every single duel, because first, I'm not in an alliance and Cerberus is, meaning that he will have all the benefits from being in an alliance, from the tech and the buffs. I'm not using any accessories as well to minimize the randomness, because let's say I might get extremely lucky with my Ring of Doom and it can proc right before my skill cycle on 1v1 testing, and I can get extremely unlucky on the next testing and it just doesn't proc at all, which will heavily manipulate the results. I'm not using any armaments as well, but the point of these duels are not winning or losing. It's just to see the difference between expertise Guan and 5551 Liu Che and determine at what point we should actually switch our Guan Yu to Liu Che if we decide to upgrade our one infantry march. Now let's take a quick look at the battles and then take a look at the reports. All duels were of course against the same player with the same march, same equipment, pretty much same everything. First 3 battles are going to be using Guan Scipio, and the next 3 battles we are going to use Scipio and Liu Che. And as expected, we are clearly losing the duels, but what we really care is the comparison between the reports. I see you in a few seconds. Results are in. Now let's see the difference between an expertise Guan Yu versus 5511 Liu Che. On the screen now you can see the average kill points we got versus our opponent got from each 3 battles. And clearly expertise Guan Yu did perform better compared to 5511 Liu Che. Of course it's just 6 battles in total, which won't reflect the real-time battle performances, but I think it's still giving us some important information. Based on this result, if I was in KVK and I needed to fight right at this moment, I would still probably be using my expertise Guan Yu and CPO secondary. But the only reason is I already have an expertise Guan Yu. If I didn't, honestly, I wouldn't touch Guan Yu. I would just get myself a 5511 Liu Che, use him as a secondary to my CPO, and I'm good to go. Yes, clearly Guan Yu did perform better compared to Liu Che. However, keep in mind that this Liu Che is only a 190 sculpture investment, and Guan Yu is expertise, meaning 690 sculptures. And you will see in future videos, if you invest the same amount of sculptures, meaning when I expertise my Liu Che, he will obviously outperform my expertise Guan Yu. So if you have a max Guan Yu, don't switch to Liu Che once he's at 5511, but if you don't, definitely get yourself a Liu Che, get him to 5511, and you can start using him in your 1 infantry march. In the next testing video, I will invest 190 more sculptures to my Liu Che and compare the same marches again. The reason why I'm going to invest 190 sculptures more is because the total number of sculptures, 380, it is the equivalent of getting a commander to, let's say, 5551, basically maxing another skill on top of first 2. Because my Liu Che is at 5511, his last 2 skills are unlocked and I will not lock the 4th skill, so the skill distribution is going to be random. But in the end, the total number of legendary commander sculptures that we are going to invest for that testing into Liu Che is going to be 380, which is exactly the same amount with a 5511 commander. I'm going to invest on Liu Che and make that video as fast as possible. If you don't want to miss it, make sure to hit subscribe. Speaking of 5511 Liu Che, here's a full list of the best 5511 commanders in Rise of Kingdoms. Make sure to tap on it and I see you there.